Ever wondered how some people just seem to know the coolest, most random facts about everything, like about the whole world, the kind of knowledge that just makes them super interesting to talk to? Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. We're exploring these unique, surprising, sometimes honestly unbelievable facts about different countries. And our source is this massive Reddit thread. Seriously huge. People basically shared an interesting fact about every country on Earth. It's just a gold mine of stuff you'd never guess.
Absolutely. And our mission today for you isn't just listing facts. We want to go a bit deeper. We're trying to pull out those little nuggets of insight, stuff that gives you a really fresh perspective on the planet and, well, everyone on it. We'll cover geographical quirks, cultural oddities, little historical bits, even some unexpected economic things, trying to connect the dots for you.
Yeah, connect the dots. I like that. Okay, let's kick off with some geography that kind of messes with your head. Canada. We know it's big, right? But did you know it holds 60%, 60, of all the world's lakes?
60%. That's astounding.
Isn't it? And on top of that, 20% of the world's total freshwater, plus 7% of its renewable water. But here's the kicker. If you only count land area, forget the water, the U.S. actually has more land than Canada.
Right. That's a common misconception. People see the overall size, including water, and assume Canada's bigger in land area too, and all that fresh water in Canada. It's not just a number. It really positions them critically for the future with water scarcity becoming such a big issue. Huge natural capital. And speaking of massive freshwater reserves, you've got to talk about Russia's Lake Baikal.
Oh, yeah, Baikal.
Yeah.
Deepest in the world, right?
Deepest, yeah. And it holds another 20% of the world's freshwater, all by itself. Just one lake. Plus, it's got this mystery with its seals. Scientists aren't totally sure how they even got there so far inland.
Seals. Way out there. Weird.
Totally weird. And something like 70% of the species in Baikal are found nowhere else. It's incredibly deep, over a mile, and there's like another mile of sediment below that. Just immense.
Wow. It's amazing how unique these places are. Okay, another geographical puzzle, or maybe just something I got wrong for years. I always figured you couldn't drive from Canada down to Argentina because the Panama Canal, cuts the land in two.
Ah, yeah, that's a common thought.
But you can drive right over the canal. There are bridges.
Exactly.
The real problem is the Darien Gap, this super dense region of swamps and marshes between Panama and Colombia.
Impassable, basically.
Yeah, apparently building a road through it is just insanely expensive, terrible for the environment, and it's known for some pretty illicit activities, too.
That Darien Gap is such a perfect example of geography just dictating things. Routes, borders, everything. And, speaking of geography shaping identity, look at Namibia.
Okay.
Its name means land that God created in anger.
Whoa. Seriously?
Yeah, derived from the Namib Desert, which is the oldest desert on Earth. It shows how ancient geography can define a place. Or Indonesia, it's so vast and spread out, they don't even have an exact consensus on how many islands make it up.
No consensus. That's wild. You'd think they'd have counted.
You'd think. It just speaks to the scale.
Incredible. Okay, what about unique borders? I heard something recently about Canada and Denmark.
Ah, Hans Island, yes. They finally settled the Whisky War.
The Whisky War. Tell me more.
It's actually pretty funny. For decades, Canadian and Danish soldiers would visit this tiny island, Hans Island, leave a bottle of Canadian rye or Danish schnapps, take down the other country's flag and put up their own. Now they've just split the island. So yes, Canada and Denmark officially share a land border now. Very recent.
That's maybe the most Canadian-Danish way to solve a border dispute ever. That's amazing.
It kind of is, isn't it? And related to Denmark, because Greenland is part of it.
Right.
Denmark technically becomes the 12th largest country by area, and Greenland holds the northernmost, westernmost, easternmost, and southernmost points compared to Iceland.
So Denmark's punching way above its weight, geographically speaking. Any other weird specifics like that?
Well, there's Lesotho. It has the highest, lowest elevation of any country.
Highest, lowest point. How does that work?
Basically, the entire country is really high up. Even its lowest point is higher than the lowest points of almost anywhere else. A true mountain kingdom.
Gotcha. Mountain kingdom. Cool.
And then Slovenia has this tiny coastline, right? But its only named island isn't even on the coast. It's in Lake Bled, inland.
The famous one with the church.
That's the one. Plus, they have a few river islands and even a lake island inside a cave. Just lots of geographical oddities packed in there.
Okay, let's switch gears. Culture stuff. This is always fascinating. Starting with time. Ethiopia.
Ah, Ethiopia.
They use a different calendar, right? They're like 7 years behind us.
Roughly, yeah. Based on the Coptic calendar.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Their clocks are different, too.
The timekeeping.
They divide the day into two 12-hour cycles, but it starts at dawn. So, like, 6 a.m., our time is 12 o'clock for them to start the day.
Exactly. Dawn to dusk is one cycle, dusk to dawn is the other.
So our 9:30 a.m. is, 3:30 a.m. their time?
That's right. 3.5 hours into their daytime cycle.
That really messes with your head. Makes you think about how arbitrary our own midnight to noon thing is.
It totally does. And it's actually super practical for Ethiopia because they're so close to the equator.
Oh, right. Consistent sunrise and sunset?
Exactly. Sunrise is always around 6 a.m., sunset around 6 p.m. So basing your clock on that makes a lot of sense. It's not so different from how, say, the ancient Romans tracked time, where hour lengths actually changed with the seasons.
Huh. Practicality winning out. Okay, from time to symbols. Flags. Jamaica.
Ah, the flag question.
Only country in the world whose flag has no red, white, or blue.
That's the one. Gold, green, and black.
Think about how many flags use red, white, or blue. Almost all of them.
It's incredibly common, yeah. Makes Jamaica stand out.
Are there other really rare colors, like purple?
Purple's super rare. Only Dominica and Nicaragua have it. And pink is only on the flags of Mexico and Spain, usually in small details like a coat of arms.
Interesting. Okay, speaking of unique, Nauru.
Oh, Nauru. What a story.
Tiny island, right. And they don't have an official capital.
Correct. No official capital. Some say the whole country is the capital.
Yeah.
With Yiran district being the main administrative bit.
Yeah.
It's basically just a ring road around the island.
Just a ring road. And it's also, unfortunately, the most obese country.
Yeah, tragically high obesity rates.
Yeah.
But the really deep story with Nauru is that they used to be incredibly rich. Like, per capita, one of the wealthiest nations on Earth.
From what?
Phosphate mining. Bird guano, basically. Built up over centuries. They mined it all out.
And
well, the money wasn't managed well long term. Famously, they lost millions investing in a disastrous West End musical about Leonardo da Vinci.
A musical about da Vinci? Oh, man.
Yeah. It's a really stark example of the resource curse. Having immense wealth from one resource, but without diversification. It can lead to big problems when the resource runs out or the investments go bad. Now they rely heavily on things like Australian refugee processing centers.
Wow, from riches to that. Partly because of a failed play. That's quite a fall. How common is that kind of vulnerability for small nations?
It's a huge challenge, especially for microstates. Diversifying is hard when you're small and maybe only have one main resource or industry. Makes them really vulnerable to global markets or, just bad decisions. And speaking of maybe less dramatic but still noteworthy systems, Italy's governments.
Oh, yeah. They change all the time, don't they?
Constantly. Something like 67 governments since World War II ended, even though terms are meant to be 5 years.
67? How?
Often votes of no confidence in their coalition governments. Things are just fragile. A BBC anchor apparently once said, "As reliable as the tides, the Italian government has fallen again."
Huh. Okay, that's memorable. Hard to imagine getting anything long-term done.
It certainly presents challenges, but if you think that's complex, look at Bosnia and Herzegovina.
More complex than Italy's revolving door.
Oh, yeah. You've got a sort of central republic structure, but then also a federation made of 10 cantons, like many states, and a separate special district.
Wait, how many governments is that in total?
It adds up to 14 different governments.
14? For how many people?
About 2.7 million.
Wow. 14 governments for less than 3 million people. That raises some questions, doesn't it? How does daily life even work with that many layers? What are the challenges? Or maybe opportunities? I don't know.
It's definitely a system born from a complex history, trying to balance different groups. But yeah, complexity is an understatement.
Okay, complexity overload. Let's try a different kind of unique system. Nicaragua's addresses.
Ah, yes. No street names.
Right. It's all based on landmarks, like go 2 blocks north of the big mango tree.
Exactly. Or, even better, landmarks that aren't even there anymore.
That's the craziest part. You might get an address like, from where the Pepsi plant used to be, go 3 blocks south, 1 block east.
Precisely. You just have to know. It's pure local knowledge. Imagine being a tourist trying to find that.
Forget tourists. Imagine the mailman.
Huh. Yeah, it's a system totally embedded in local history and shared memory, which actually connects nicely to language and history elsewhere, like in Eritrea. Because of its colonial past with Italy, many elderly people there still primarily speak Italian.
Really? more than the main local language.
With that generation, yeah, it can be dominant. Even though Tigrinya is the main language overall, it's a living linguistic echo of history.
Yeah.
Sadly, many young Eritreans flee the country because of harsh, indefinite military conscription, and this Italian connection is part of the complex background they leave.
Wow, that's a heavy connection.
It is. And another surprising language link, Welsh.
Oh, okay, spoken in a way.
Argentina.
Argentina.
Welsh.
How?
There's a region in Patagonia, Argentina, where Welsh settlers established communities in the 19th century, and the language is still spoken there today alongside Spanish, an indigenous language in two very different parts of the world.
Mind blown. Welsh in Argentina. Okay, let's dive into some facts that are just genuinely surprising, like really defy expectations. Switzerland first.
Switzerland. Neutral, punctual.
And prepared. They are the only country with enough nuclear fallout shelters for their entire population.
Enough for everyone. Seriously.
Yep. Plus, a complete backup water supply system designed for nuclear war or, widespread poisoning.
That's intense preparedness.
Isn't it? And another Swiss quirk, technically no official capital city. Bern is the de facto capital, the seat of government, but it's not officially designated in the constitution.
Huh. No official capital. Like Nauru, in a way, but for different reasons. That level of preparedness, that focus on self-reliance, it really says something about the national psyche, doesn't it? Almost extreme independence. It reminds me a bit of Liechtenstein in its uniqueness, though different.
Liechtenstein, the tiny one between Switzerland and Austria.
That's it. Double landlocked, like Uzbekistan, meaning it's landlocked by countries that are also landlocked.
Okay, that's a good trivia bit.
But here's the weirder part. Liechtenstein is the world's #1 exporter of dentures. False teeth.
Dentures. Seriously.
Leading exporter. They also have a 100% literacy rate. And apparently almost half their GDP comes from one company, or maybe even one guy, the denture guy.
Half the GDP from the denture guy. That is wild. Talk about a niche economy.
Hyper niche, yeah.
Okay, from dentures to world-altering historical impacts. Genghis Khan.
Ah, the great Khan. Huge historical figure.
Huge impact. Apparently, he and his armies killed so many people.
Tragic scale of conquest.
That it actually lowered global carbon levels significantly because so much farmland went back to being forests absorbing CO2.
Wow, that's an unintended environmental consequence of mass death. Profound and chilling.
Right. And get this. Estimates suggest that 1 in every 200 men alive today is directly descended from him.
1 in 200. The genetic legacy is just staggering. Shows how history echoes down through generations in unexpected ways. And other unexpected facts. Uganda contains 11% of the entire world's bird species.
11%. In one country. Incredible biodiversity.
Absolutely. Or Sialkot. It's a city in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Produces 40% of the world's soccer balls.
40%. From one city. I had no idea. That's a huge hidden hub of manufacturing.
Exactly. And going way back, the ancient Sumerians in what's now Iraq, they invented the first writing system, cuneiform, changed everything for humanity.
Fundamentally changed everything, yeah. Okay, here's a concept that sounds almost poetic. Perpetual sunlight.
Perpetual sunlight.
Yeah, apparently both France and the United Kingdom technically experience this.
How does that work?
Because they still have so many overseas territories scattered all around the globe in different time zones, different hemispheres.
That's right, the legacy of empire.
Exactly. So the sun is literally always shining on some piece of French or British soil somewhere in the world, 24/7.
That's a really fascinating modern consequence of historical reach, isn't it? A geographical footprint that never sleeps.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this section with a few truly memorable, maybe slightly random ones. Scotland's national animal.
Oh, I think I know this one. Is it the unicorn?
It is. The mythical unicorn says something about national identity, maybe.
Definitely says something. Okay, more serious one. Mauritania.
Mauritania, in West Africa.
They were the very last country in the world to officially abolish slavery.
And when was that?
1981.
81. Wow. That's shockingly recent. A crucial reminder that history isn't always distant.
Truly. And finally, Armenia.
Okay.
They include chess as a required subject in primary schools.
Chess. Mandatory.
Yep. Part of the curriculum. Talk about fostering strategic thinking from a young age.
That's actually brilliant. What a great investment in critical thinking skills.
So what does this all mean? We've kind of bounced all over the globe, haven't we? From Canada's lakes and Baikal seals to Nauru's lost musical money, Italy's governments, Genghis Khan changing the atmosphere.
A real whirlwind tour.
Yeah. And each little fact, whether it's about geography or culture or history, it kind of reveals something deeper, doesn't it, about how varied and interconnected the world really is.
Absolutely. These facts might seem random, almost like trivia, but when you put them together, they offer real insights into humanity, geography, history, all of it. It shows that knowledge isn't just about collecting facts, right? It's about understanding them, connecting them. Critical thinking helps you see the patterns, turn all this information overload into actual insight.
Yeah, definitely. We hope this deep dive has, sparked some curiosity for you, maybe giving you a few new things to think about or even talk about. It's fun to discover this stuff.
It really is. And maybe, as you go about your day, think about this. Even the smallest detail about a country, its weird address system, its national animal, whatever, it can reflect something really profound about its identity, its history, its place in the world. So what other hidden gems, what other surprising connections might you find if you just dig a little deeper into the world around you?